Okay, so for context, everybody who knows me knows for a fact that I am really terrified of everything to do with water. It's not as bad as hydrophobia or anything, but I'm just really scared of going near water bodies. So I'm not a fan of beaches or swimming pools or whatever. As an adult, the most I can do is just stand or lounge a safe distance away from the water. But yeah, I like to be careful around these areas. I don't think it's an irrational fear or something. I think it's totally valid. I had a really bad experience during a swimming lesson when I was a child, and after that, I quit taking swimming lessons, and well, that's kind of how this fear came into being. Most people know about it. My mother definitely does, and I'm pretty sure that her stepkids also do. My dad passed away from a heart attack when I was 9, and it's been 8 years since then. Obviously, I do miss him, and in the beginning, my mom used to miss him as well. I don't know about that anymore, though. For the past couple of years, she's been with somebody else, and she seems happy enough, though I'm not sure I'm too happy about this relationship, and that's not because I want my mom to keep grieving my father or anything. By all means, I would have loved for her to move on with somebody better, but my stepdad and his children, they are just a nightmare. This man, let's call him Steve, has 2 kids from a previous marriage, and both of them are around my age. Let's call them Maddie and Jeff. So they've been a part of my mom's life for almost 4 years now. And in the beginning, they were tolerable enough, but after a while, I felt like they had started taking over her entire life, and she was letting them. She would hardly speak to me, and whenever she did, it was always about them. I felt like I hardly had any one-on-one time with my mother anymore. And then 2 years ago, they moved in with us because our house was much bigger, and all of a sudden, I felt like everything that used to belong to my dad, everything that was dear to my dad, it was put out of sight in storage. And when I asked my mother about it, she said that she just wanted to make her new boyfriend a little comfortable. And I had to be nice about it because, well, she was trying to move on and everything. And I did not want to mess with that. I tried my best to get along with Steve, Maddie, and Jeff, but if I'm being very honest, they never seemed to like me much. They hardly ever spoke to me. They never reciprocated my attempts to be friendly. And whenever I spoke to my mom about it, she always thought I was being paranoid. But I don't think that was the case. Anyway, they moved in, and I kind of made my peace with it because there was not much that I could do. I tried my best to stay out of the way because it was very clear that these 3 did not like me. And as for my relationship with my mother, I tried to keep it intact. But it just kept getting worse. So in the past couple of years, I would honestly say that I've spent more time talking to my friends and my grandparents and other members of my family as opposed to my own mother who lives in the same house as me. It's kind of sad, but well, there was nothing that I could do, like I said. It's not like I didn't try, but she was too busy with her new family, and I could see very clearly that my importance in her life was not much of a priority for her anymore. And then she got married last year, so now they are properly a part of the family, and I have mixed feelings about that. Because it might just be my imagination, but I don't really think it is, because I think the 3 of them have become a little more snarky and unpleasant with me ever since the wedding, because now they feel comfortable enough or something, I don't know. I guess it's the fact that my mom can't just break up with him or anything, although that was never on the table. To be fair to me, because judging by how important her new family is to her, I don't think that she would have broken up for my sake. But anyway, now that they are probably married and everything, I feel like they take certain liberties that they didn't take before. Like, for instance, Maddie never used to take my stuff without even informing me. In fact, she never used to come into my room, but now she does that all the time. And she never even bothers to inform me that she's borrowing anything from me. Be it my books or my makeup or my clothes or whatever. I've told her several times I don't like this kind of thing, and I've even told her that I don't appreciate her taking my stuff at all, because I am not the kind of person who likes sharing makeup, and she's slightly bigger than me, so she stretches out my clothes too, but she doesn't seem to care. She keeps doing it, and it's very evident that my anger doesn't threaten her. It's the same way with Jeff as well, although not with my stuff, but with my food. So here's the thing. Because my dad had a heart condition, I kind of made the decision to turn vegetarian a couple of years after his passing. And recently, I turned vegan. So I like to keep vegan snacks and ingredients around the house because I want to be able to make myself stuff whenever I'm hungry, and for the cook to find it easier to prepare my meals separately and everything. However, lately, Jeff has started getting into my stash of snacks, and he never bothers to reimburse me for it or even replace it. He doesn't even seem to care that he's having my snacks, and I'm the one who ends up having to spend more of my pocket money because he's the one finishing my snacks. It's ridiculous and it's irritating. And I've complained to my mom about it, but she always only agrees with whatever Steve says. And Steve thinks that I'm being too stuck up and these aren't real problems. So my mom agrees with him and is just annoying. So basically things have been pretty bad for me in this house for the last couple of months, and it's been getting to me. And a few days back, I think I just had an incident that was pretty much the last nail in the coffin. And of course, who else would be responsible for it but Maddie and Jeff? So basically, it was a pretty hot day, so they were swimming in the pool, and my mother had insisted that I sit on the lounge chairs with her because apparently we had not been spending enough time, and she was right about that, so I decided to come out and read my book there. I was just chilling, but then all of a sudden, Maddie and Jeff grabbed my legs and they dragged me into the pool, and it was pretty bad because my chair was a little distance away from the pool. So that meant that not only did I get dragged into the pool, but I fell from my lounge chair pretty badly, and then I got dragged across the hot concrete for a bit before I fell into the pool unceremoniously, and of course, then I didn't know how to swim. And they had dragged me into the deep end, so I was struggling and spluttering, and because I had been caught off guard, I didn't even know what was going on for the first few seconds. Honestly speaking, I don't mean to overreact or anything, but I'm pretty sure that I could have been seriously injured or even worse. And the fact that nothing happened to me was actually me getting lucky. Because I can tell you one thing, they were playing pretty fast and loose with some safety rules around the pool, and by the time I gathered my wits about me and managed to get myself out of the water, I was furious because this was just not acceptable. The crazy thing is that they did not think they had done anything wrong, even though I had been struggling in the water and I really thought that I was going to drown or something. Because I was finding it hard to breathe. I was getting dizzy and everything. But they were all laughing, including my mother, and it seemed like this was a plan, and they were all in on it. And they thought that they had done something really funny. They were literally doubled up with laughter and everything, while I was dripping wet and shivering out of fear, even though it was pretty hot outside. So you get the picture, basically. It was really, really horrible for me, and I don't think I'll be able to forget it anytime soon. Anyway, right after it happened, I was furious. So I picked a huge fight with them, and I told them that I was sick of this kind of treatment, that they couldn't just push me around, expect to get away with it, and I was going to stand up for myself. I told them that I wanted them to apologize, which I think was the bare minimum, and I think they should have come to that conclusion themselves. But instead, my mother started to defend Maddie and Jeff, saying that they were only joking around and that they had planned this whole prank. She told me that it was meant to be all in good humor, though I did not find it to be like that at all, because I could have been seriously hurt, like I said, and they didn't even care about my life. She told me that I was overreacting, that I was making a big deal out of absolutely nothing, and she started getting annoyed with me, saying that I needed to loosen up a bit, and that Steve was right. I really was too uptight. I wasn't going to take that, so I started arguing with her, and the fight got pretty bad, and after that we didn't speak for a couple of days. But it was good for me because I got the opportunity to plan what I was going to do next, since I had had enough. I wasn't going to take this anymore, so I decided to make my next move on Mother's Day, because my step-siblings had planned a little thing of sorts for Mother's Day evening, since this was the first time they were going to be spending the day with their stepmom. So they wanted to make it special. They invited a bunch of people, including my mom's friends and a few members of our family, a few members of their family on their father's side, and that made up the whole party. We were not speaking to each other, but they did come to my room to ask if I wanted to contribute anything for the gift that they were getting for my mom. And I said no, because I had something else in mind. They didn't ask any questions. They left it at that. And I'm really thankful for it, because it gave me an opportunity to do everything without being asked too many questions, since nobody in the house was too keen on talking to me. Anyway, the day came and I decided to do what I had planned, and it went exactly as expected, quite luckily. On the morning of Mother's Day, I apologized to my mom. I told her that she was right and that I really need to relax a little bit and learn to have a little fun, and to make it up to her for not talking to her and being a brat about everything for the past couple of days. I had decided to make a video tribute to her. She was a bit surprised, but she seemed to be happy enough with my explanation. And so in the evening, after she was done unwrapping and going gaga over the gift that Steve, Jeff and Maddie had planned for her, it was my turn. I wasn't too sure how I was going to beat a luxury bag, but I think I did well, because I had managed to get my hands on the security footage of the day that she, Jeff and Maddie arranged for me to be pushed into the pool, knowing about my fear of swimming and everything. And that's what I played in place of the video tribute that she had been expecting. Obviously, as soon as I started playing, I saw their faces fall, because I think even they knew that what they had done was not right. But with me, they were perfectly happy gaslighting me into believing that I was the one overreacting, but however, with other people around, they couldn't pretend that it was all fine and dandy, because literally everybody gasped and looked shocked at what was going on in the video. And they were even more disgusted by the fact that my mother, instead of helping me out and showing any concern for me, was actually laughing along and telling me to lighten up or whatever. After the video was done playing, everybody was silent. Nobody had anything to say, so I was the one who ended up saying everything that had been weighing on me for so long. I'm not usually a very confrontational person. To be honest, it might seem a bit shallow, but I've always cared a lot about my image and reputation. So no matter how bad things got, I never really spoke about it with anybody outside my immediate family, like my grandparents or my best friends. And most of the time I would keep my rants to them very vague as well, and wouldn't go into the specific, because I didn't want to make my mom seem like the bad guy, and I didn't want to feel like I was bad-mouthing her, even though she was doing things that would totally justify me doing that. Basically, I was never the kind of person to air dirty laundry in public, but now I had had enough. I couldn't keep up with this kind of thing anymore, so I basically just let it all out. I brought up everything that had happened so far, everything that I have spoken about previously in this post, and then I thanked her for being the best mother one could ask for. And once I was done, I went back into my room. To be honest, I didn't really have a plan for what I was going to do afterwards. But as soon as I was inside my room, I knew what to do. So I started packing immediately, putting all my important stuff in my bag, simply not caring about what went on downstairs. By the time I came back downstairs, I knew that I had overstepped. But I didn't care anymore, to be very honest. My grandparents were still there. My grandparents, I'm referring to my maternal grandparents. My paternal grandparents unfortunately passed away within a few years of my dad's passing. So yeah, my mom's parents, they were still there. And they were livid. In fact, even that's an understatement. They were extremely unhappy about the way I had been treated. And my mom tried to make it seem like I was overreacting, like I was exaggerating everything to make it seem like I was the victim. But my grandparents were not buying it. They had seen the video for themselves, and even before that, they had heard me complaining about my mom and the way she treated me occasionally before this. So they knew exactly who to believe. And once I was downstairs with my bags and everything, my grandparents told me that it was time for me to come with them because clearly I was not being treated well here. And they told my mother that they were extremely disappointed in her. Steve, Maddie, and Jeff tried to talk to them, but they were not even acknowledged, like my grandparents were literally pretending that those didn't even exist, let alone talk to them or argue with them or anything. But yes, anyway, that's what happened, and since then, I've been staying with my grandparents, and I'm much happier here now. I feel like a huge load has been taken off my shoulders, and obviously my grandparents are much kinder to me. To be honest, I don't even know why I didn't come here earlier. I would have saved myself a lot of trouble, but I guess somewhere deep down I was hoping that my mother would change, that she would see me and we would be friends again, but clearly that's not happening, not anytime soon at least. And this is a big problem because my mother keeps texting me, trying to call me, emailing me, because she wants me to tell my grandparents that I exaggerated everything a little bit and that even in the video that I had played, things were not really that bad. She keeps telling me that she doesn't want to lose me and that she hadn't even really realized that I was going through so much. She thought that I was fine because I never complained that much, but that's not true. I did try to talk to her. She just never took me seriously in the past couple of months or even years. And to be very honest, I wasn't done trying to play the good girl or whatever. I was done trying to be the ideal for her because she has not been that interested in being the ideal mother to me, at least in the past couple of months, let alone perfect. She probably didn't even want to acknowledge me as part of her family because I did not fit in with Steve, Maddie, and Jeff, and for her, it was all about them. Now she can apologize all that she wants, but that's not going to change what has happened, and I think I've earned the right to stay away from her for a little while. She's not happy with it though. She keeps telling me that people are going to talk and then they find out that I've left, especially after what happened to the party. And she's still standing by the fact that there was no need for me to play that video. No need for me to air dirty linen in public like that. But in spite of that, she still wants me to come back and sort everything out with her. However, I feel like she cares more about the repercussions of me leaving in a social way than about me actually leaving, if you know what I mean. Oh, I don't know. Things are really tough right now for me, and I'm very conflicted on what to do. AITA for not wanting to go back to my mom and trying to sort things out with her right now. Update 1. Hi, so it's been a month since I posted last, and For almost a month, I've been staying with my grandparents, and honestly, my mental health has never been better. I hate to say it, but now that I think back on everything that has happened, it's ridiculous that I was even regretting whatever I did. It's crazy that I was feeling guilty about standing up for myself. But anyway, I don't feel that way anymore. This past month, I've done a lot of introspection. I thought a lot about everything that I had been put through, and I've decided there's no reason for me to feel bad that I don't want to sort things out with my mother right now, because let's be real, she needs to earn it. After everything that has happened in the past couple of months, I don't think that it would be fair to myself to just go back to her and pretend that everything's fine now just because she said so or whatever. For the first few days, she tried very hard to get me back. She kept trying to call me, and it seemed as if she was really sorry about everything. But when I made it very clear that I was going to take my own sweet time, she started getting annoyed with me. And then it became all about how I had humiliated her, how I did not care for her or her reputation, and basically all about her and how all of this affected her. That's what it was about all along, about how this is going to impact her life, not how sorry she feels about what she did with me and everything. She neglected me for a couple of years, made me feel like I meant nothing to her in comparison to her new family, and even now, the thing that is most important to her is how other people are going to perceive her. In hindsight, I'm pretty glad that I exposed everything that was going on in our household, because I think it was about time that somebody said something. And obviously, nobody else was going to say anything because they were perfectly happy with these arrangements. It did not affect them in any negative way whatsoever. But I was done, and I'm glad I said what I had to say. Obviously, in the past couple of weeks, my mother has not spoken to me at all. And whenever Maddie and Jeff pass by me in school, they pretend like they don't see me, and I'm perfectly okay with that. Pretty much everybody knows now that there has been some sort of huge fallout. And that's why we don't talk anymore. We don't even interact, but I'm glad I have good friends who are there for me. They never make me feel like I'm on my own, even though I do end up missing my mother a lot sometimes. On top of that, my mom's friends, whoever had been there at the party, a lot of them have kept in touch with me, and they check up on me, and it's really sweet of them. I really appreciate that, because at least they are doing more than my mom is. I don't know if they are in touch with her. Probably not. I think that's another reason why my mother doesn't want to talk to me, because I cost her a lot of friends. Anyway, I'm happy with my grandparents now. They have made it very clear that they are not going to have anything to do with my mom unless she apologizes. And that goes for the rest of the family as well. So basically, the whole family has been torn into two. And I'm thankful that most people are on my side here, after finding out everything that had been going on there. Everybody else who wants to stay neutral, they are free to do so. But my grandparents have made it very clear that if my mother, her husband, and those two kids are invited to any events, then my grandparents and I will not be attending. And that goes for everyone. And I'm so lucky to have people like this to stand for me so strongly. I truly count myself very fortunate for all of this. Update 2. Hey everyone, so it's been a month and a half since my previous update, and there have been no major changes to the situation apart from one. I had a pretty huge fight in the cafeteria with Maddie a couple of days back, and I really don't understand why she had to pick a fight with me, because we are not even on talking terms. We have never been family, so it's not possible that she'd be upset about the fallout or anything. In fact, if anything, I would think that Steve, Maddie, and Jeff would be the happiest people now that I'm not a part of that household anymore. But anyway, I was just minding my own business. I was sitting with my friends and staff, And she and a group of her friends were walking past us. And she stuck her nose in the air, made a very nasty face, and she called me something that I don't even want to repeat here. And I immediately lost it because I can tolerate being glared at or whatever, but she cannot call me names, and especially not derogatory ones like the one she used. So I stood up and I snapped at her and I called her out for using that word, and she denied it. But all my friends had been sitting around me and they had heard it too. So they stood up for me as well. I told her that she needed to apologize to me immediately. And by then, Jeff had also appeared, as he usually does, to defend his sister. But he didn't really need to because she did the job fine herself. She started calling me a bunch of other names. I called her names too. We had a huge fight and it got so bad that our parents had to be called. Obviously, my mom showed up for both of us and she tried to talk to me, but I told her that I had absolutely zero interest in speaking to her unless she wanted to apologize for everything that had happened and she wanted to actually mean it. So then she got mad at me, and that was the whole thing. And by the time I came back home, I was really exhausted and annoyed, but I still managed to tell my grandparents everything. I'm just thankful that I'm turning 18 in a couple of months by the end of the year, so there's no custody situation to deal with. And by next year, I'll be heading off to college, so I don't have to deal with these people at school anymore either. Because it's annoying, to be very honest, and I don't want to have to deal with these people. Regarding my mother, though, I was happy to see her, as much as I hate to admit it, but I really was. And I wish things could go back to being normal, but they can't. Not unless she changes. And I don't know when that's going to happen, so I guess I have to make my peace with whatever's going on right now. Update 3. Hey, it has been quite a while since I posted anything, but in a couple of weeks I'm going to be starting college, so I thought I would update you guys on what's been going on. First of all, for the last couple of months I've been staying with my grandparents, as you guys all know. But a few weeks back, my mother and I decided to try reconciliation, and we are on talking terms now. We're trying to make things work and sort everything out, and I'm really happy about it. I wouldn't say that we are in a good place yet. That would not be true, but we are trying to get there and it's going well. Honestly, all of it only started because Maddie and Jeff sent me a pretty nasty message about how their family was falling apart because of me. Because now, ever since I had left, my mother was miserable all the time and she took out her anger on them, and she and Steve were fighting a lot too. That made me feel a little better because I thought that she wouldn't have been affected by me leaving, judging by how everything was going before that. But I guess I was wrong, however. I didn't reach out to her. She's the one who reached out to me a few weeks back, a couple of days after Jeff and Maddie sent me that message. This time I chose to reply to her and I told her that I would be open to reconnecting again. I would like to rebuild our relationship. And so now that's what we are trying to do. I don't know if her relationship with Steve and his kids has improved yet or not, and frankly, I don't care about that because that has nothing to do with me. But if she treats me better, then I think we can go back to being on good terms at least. Right now, that's the most I can hope for, but yeah, my grandparents and I are both very glad that this is happening, and I guess I would say I'm happy now. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.